violence. So often, rap music is born on the fringes of society. It's the voice of the repressed and the marginalized. It originated here in the United States, and it has caught on as a means of protest across the world, playing a role in the Arab Spring in places like Tunisia, Bahrain, and Morocco. It's also alive and well in Israel, which is home to more than 1.5 million Arab citizens. 3 of them make up the hip-hop group Damn. They are brothers, Tamer and Suhail Nafar, and their friend Mahmoud Jareri. The Palestinian artists rap in both Hebrew and Arabic, and English sometimes, and the themes of oppression and injustice are prevalent in their songs about struggling to survive in the Jewish state. The American rapper Tupac Shakur is their inspiration. Tupac's imagery of violence and crime in poor neighborhoods in the United States resonated with what they say they were feeling at home. Damn's lyrics, like those in many hip-hop songs, can be controversial and to some even offensive. I spoke with them here in the studio at the beginning of their US tour. Suhail, Tamer and Mahmoud, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me. You say the quintessential American hip-hop rapper Tupac was your inspiration, and that it was very similar to what you lived every day. I want to play part of one of your songs that actually you recorded in Hebrew, and it's called Born Here, and then we'll talk about it.
זוהי עונת ציד, הדרך הוא עוד בית של יונה המנסה לשרוד תחת שלטון העית. בוא נעשה משהו אופטימי יותר, הרי כל יום אני מתעורר, רואה איזה 1,000 שוטר, אולי הם באו לעצור סוחר, בוא או לא, הם באו להרוס את הבית שלה, שכן שלו. מה קורה פה? בוא הצנעה סובבת את הגטו, למה קשה לו, ומי יענה לו, לאן ואיפה שאלך תירוצים מקבלים את פניי. עברתי על החוק, לא החוק עבר עליי. די, רבותיי, כאן נולדתי, כאן נולדו גם סבותיי, לא תקעו משורשיים.
So this is in Hebrew, presumably directly aimed at the Israeli Hebrew-speaking population. What are you trying to tell them?
Back then, it was part of a campaign called Born Here. Just to give a reference, Born Here is a very known Israeli Zionist song. The actual lyrics in this Hebrew song was, I was born here, this is where my sons were born here, my grandson will be born here, and this is where I built my own house. And we, the natives, that we were born in this land before Israel even, we took that song and we flipped it in that song, as you saw, and we said, we are born here, my grandfather was born here, my grandfather, and this is where you demolished the house in your both hands. And basically that song is to talk about the neighborhoods, we are talking about Israeli citizens.
Which you are.
Yeah. We carry the Israeli passport, we pay the Israeli taxes, and we live in neighborhoods without sometimes no water, sometimes no electricity, sometimes, of course. Poverty, no streets, walls in between us and the Jewish neighborhoods, like the big separation wall. 70 houses were demolished back then when we did that video clip, because Arabs build without license, but at the same time they don't give license to Arabs, so it's all discrimination.
So, Suhail, are you trying to make a political point or a social point? Are you talking about the bigger Arab-Israeli peace process? Are you just talking about your own neighborhoods?
I mean, we're talking about our reality, whatever we see when we open our window, or whatever we talk to our families, if they're in Gaza or in the West Bank, or even the refugees that they're in Lebanon. So what we talk about is we're talking about one solution for everyone, which is like everyone under one peaceful state, and so we talk to everyone.
But we do consider ourselves as part of the Palestinian people.
Well, you know, a lot of people don't often focus on Arab Israelis, and let me just put out the statistics. There are about 1.6 million of you who live inside Israel as Israeli citizens, of a total of nearly 8 million Israelis. Do you feel part of Israel, Mahmoud?
Well, we have a song called Stranger in My Own Country, and this is what we feel. We are targeted citizens, and we are targeted because we live in a country that defines itself as a Jewish country, which delete everyone else. And this is how we feel, and this is how we are being treated by this country.
Let me read some of these lyrics. Stranger in my own country, who cares about us? We're dying slowly, controlled by a Zionist democratic government. Yah, democratic to the Jewish soul and Zionist to the Arabic soul. Do you worry that this will be seen as anti-Semitic, that you'll be criticized for saying these kinds of lyrics? What is the reaction to this kind of singing?
I don't think it's anti. I'm Semitic first, so I cannot be anti.
You're Semitic?
Yeah. So yeah, sorry. Exactly. So I cannot be anti myself. Anti-Jewish, anti-Israeli? I'm not anti-Jewish, I'm anti-Zionism, because I think Zionism is racism. And Zionism is deleting any other culture and any other religion living in Palestine. And this is what I'm criticizing. I don't have problem with Jewish people. I'm calling for a country that their citizen is the important thing in the country, and not his religion, and not his background. And this is what we are calling for.
I must add something if possible. I don't know how it got through the history to that point where I should defend myself of being anti-Jewish. I mean, we are sitting on a land that have Christians, that it have Jews, and it have Muslims. Most of the Muslims and Christians were kicked out of this land, and the 20% that was left, the Christians and the Muslim, are being defined under a Jewish country that is ignoring them and canceling them. How the hell we are being anti-Semitic if it's not the opposite? I don't know what's the process was in the history.
So you think the process is against you?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Obviously, that's your feelings. It comes out in your music. What is the reaction inside Israel, amongst the Jewish population and amongst the Arab population, to your music?
Some like it. We have a big following of the Jews.
It's mostly activist people who following us.
Refuse
so when you
to serve the army, activists.
Well, thank you all for coming in.
Thank you.
And I want to turn now to journalist Robin Wright. She's covered the Middle East extensively, including the role of rap music as a form of protest and expression. Robin, welcome. And you are also, of course, the author of Rock the Casbah, Rage and Rebellion Across the Arab World. You've written a lot about rap, and you've seen Damn perform. What's your analysis of their role in society?
Well, I think the most important thing about them is they reflect the attempt to create a different way of expressing your anger. They're not using Molotov cocktails. They're not donning suicide vests. They're using music, and it reflects this vibrant culture of change that has been given birth across the Middle East in music, in theater, in comedy, in trying to find other ways of achieving your goals, of tackling whether it's autocrats or extremists or fighting for your rights in Israel.
So, given the fact that they're not advocating violence, and in fact, a lot of their songs are about coexistence and wishing they could, is some of the offensive language, whether Zionism is racism or whatever they might be saying, is that fair game, or is that something that, you know, people should take offense at?
Look, their lyrics are controversial, and they're going to offend some people. This is where we're kind of in a transition period as we work our way, hopefully at some point down the road, to a peace process. But the mere fact that they are singing to an Israeli audience as well as a Muslim and Arab audience, the fact that they have performed in Israeli clubs, and the fact that they have sung with Israeli rappers tells you that something has changed, and that's really what they represent.
And what do you think is the future of this? Is this just now because of this monumental sort of political upheaval that's going on, or is this something that's, you know, like here, is going to be the wave of the future?
In many ways, the culture of change tells us really what happens next. We get so absorbed in the daily headlines and the gruesome pictures out of a protest or a confrontation or the tragedy of Syria. And the fact is, whatever happens politically, it is this culture of change produced by the young, who are the majority across the region, that really reflect the guts of what's happening and this epic convulsion. And the positive side of it, that people are turning to, whether it's song or theater or comedy, as the means of communicating their message and sending out something very different than the kind of extremism that you and I covered 20 years ago.
And to that point, you obviously are not just a music and rap reporter. You have looked and covered all these revolutions, and for decades now. What is your feeling for the young people who had these revolutions for their own economic betterment, and things are really stuck in Tunisia, Egypt, and elsewhere?
Look, this is a time of tremendous disappointment for all of them, because they can't translate their dreams into political reality, and they feel they're not getting the rewards for their courage and initiative. And one of the interesting things, most interesting barometers of change, will be to hear the lyrics of the rap a year from now and 5 years from now, and what they're singing about, how much anger there is in their voices, and what they're demanding. And are they going further than they were today, and just calling for peaceful coexistence and change? That's the danger, that we get the old edginess and violence back into the music as well.
So rap is the third intifada?
It's the third intifada. It's the rhythm of the resistance across the region.
On that note, Robin Wright, thank you very much.
Thank you.